Okay, now we're going to teach you how to do an old age makeup with the Ben Nye Creme Makeup Kit. And these are the materials that we're going to use on Victor today. Starting from the left, we have his 2 makeup brushes. We have his dark brown eye pencil. We have his highlight and his shadow. We have his contour wheel that has the section of black makeup that we're going to use to tone down his contouring shadow. We have his foundation, the white makeup, his powder, and the powder puff that comes in your kit. Hi, my name's Karen Jacobs and I teach theatrical makeup at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and I'm here with Victor. Say hi, Victor.
Hola.
And we're going to do a makeup tutorial for a basic old age makeup, all right? So the first thing that I ask everyone to do before we get started is to wash their face, make sure they're clean shaven, and wash their hands. Whoever's going to be applying the makeup needs to wash their hands so they're nice and clean. So you've done all that?
Yes.
Great. So the first thing we're going to do is apply foundation. So in your Ben Nye kit, you get 3 foundations, and Victor's already decided that this is the one that matches his skin tone the best. So he's going to go ahead and use his wedge sponge, and he's going to put foundation all over his face, all the way up to the hairline, all the way around about a ½ inch south of his jawbone. You don't want to take it down onto the neck because your costume designer will be unhappy if you get that all over the neck of the costume. And then he's going to go up, he's going to do his eyelids, but he's not going to do his eyebrows or his lips, okay? So go ahead, Victor.
Here we go.
Notice how he's doing short little blotting technique. He's not wiping it from one side of his face to the other. He's doing it real kind of small, meticulous motions so that he covers the entire face and gets a nice, really thick, dense coverage of his makeup all over his face. I think that looks pretty good. Nice, good coverage. All right, maybe just a little bit more blending right above your eyebrow, just so it kind of blends right into the hairline of your eyebrow. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the shadowing. So the easiest way to learn how to do a shadow for old age is to do it on the back of your hand first. So I'm going to ask Victor to put a little bit of the foundation on the back of his hand, and then you're going to take a little bit of your shadow color and you're going to use one of your brushes that has a nice tip on it, a nice fine sharp tip, and we're going to draw a line that's nice and crisp, and then we're going to fade it out. And the easiest way to do that is just to take that line and to pull it. Okay, so you have a sharp line and then you're fading it up almost like a 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 kind of fade out. If you can't see it, you can go back in with another sharp line like that and fade it up. Okay, so I would suggest that you practice that a little bit on the back of your hand before you start doing it on your face. So the first place, you can put your hand down, that's great, thank you. The first place we're going to start shadowing on his face are the nasal labial folds. So nasal meaning nose and labial meaning lips. So everybody has a line between their nose and their lips. So go ahead and smile into the camera, all right? And you see that he's got a nice crease here from the nose to the lips, the nasal labial fold. So we're going to try to follow that line that he already has on his face. Okay, now relax, and you should see a little bit of a line there. And you might have to slightly turn your head toward me a little bit when I do the other side. Okay, nice big smile. All right, take a look in the camera and see now that he's not smiling, it still looks like he's smiling. It looks like he's got those creases going from his nose to his lips. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that, and without contorting your face, we're going to slightly fade that up. Okay, other side. And what that's going to do is it's going to give some dimension to his cheeks. Now look back in the camera. Now what's going to make this crease look even deeper is when we go in with our highlights later, and we're going to highlight his cheeks here and here to make this crease look even deeper because of the contrast. All right? The next place that we're going to do a little bit of shadowing is on his cheeks. So his cheekbone is right here. We're going to draw a line just below the cheekbone and all the way down, and just kind of pull some of that shadowing down to make his face look like it's not so youthful, so that it's a little sunken. What happens when you get older is you lose the elasticity in your face, in your skin, and you lose fat. Okay, let me see the other side. So when you lose the fat underneath your skin and the elasticity goes away, you're left with some sunken areas. Okay, so what I'm realizing here, take a look back in the camera, is that the shadow color that came with his kit is really close to his foundation color. And so we're not seeing the shadowing on the cheeks as much as I would like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to the contour wheel, and I'm gonna use the black, and I'm gonna mix it, just to give it one tone darker so that we can really see the sunken cheek in there, okay? So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that black, and if you could just turn the other way, actually. Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna go in, and now we're really, I think, going to be able to see that sunken cheek even more. Don't be afraid to blend colors. There's 6 different skin tones of the Ben Nye kit. So if your skin tone isn't a perfect match for your foundation or your highlight or your shadow, go ahead and mix. Don't be afraid to mix them. Okay, now if that line there looks a little too sharp, what we're gonna do is go in and just blot it out. And remember, we're doing an old age makeup for a large house theater, so we're going to make it look really dramatic close up, but when we're done, we're gonna have him go stand back about 5 or 10 feet, and it's all going to come together from a distance. All right, let me do the other side with some of that shadowing. All right, look in the camera. Now, don't be tempted to blot it all away. We want to see some of those lines. We want to see some of that shadowing. So don't get rid of it all. Students have a tendency to just blot away and get rid of all of it, and we want to be able to see it, all right? So, you know what I am going to do? I'm going to go back in to this nasolabial fold with a little tiny bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it on the back of my hand. I'm going to take a little bit of the black, and I'm going to take a little bit of his shadow color, and I'm going to blend them, just to make it a little bit of a darker tone. Again, adjust to your skin tone. Smile. Go like this. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I think we can see that a little better. Other side. Okay, let's see that. Yeah, I think that just darkened it just enough so that it really pops. All right, good. So the next thing we're gonna do is go in, and you know what? I think I'm just gonna keep mixing the black and the brown together to make a nice, perfect shadow color. And I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to start doing an under eye bag. The key to an under eye bag is don't go all the way over so that it looks like a half circle. You're gonna go about 3/4 of the way and stop. About like that. Let me see the other side. All right, So what we're going to do now is the same thing that we did before with the nasolabial fold, and we're just going to fade up. So look toward the camera and just look up with your eyeballs. There you go. Just a slight fade up. All right, let's see the other side. You don't want it to start looking like a bruise, okay? You just want it to look like a nice bag. It can look like you're a little tired. That's okay. All right, look in the camera. All right, he's starting to look a little tired. And I actually think this one on this side went a little too far. And this is exactly why the person who's applying the makeup needs to wash their hands, so that you don't get your grime of the day on your actor's face, okay? All right, so we're gonna go back in with those eye bags, and we're gonna put a nice puffy highlight right there underneath the eye, so that that under eye bag looks even more three-dimensional in a minute, okay? All right, now we're gonna go in and do a little bit of a jowl, and a jowl is just going to make this part of his face seem a little more sunken. Look that way for a second. Okay, just so you can see what I'm doing, it's almost like a big flying seagull. Okay, and what that's supposed to do is make this part and this part look like it's sagging. All right, let's do the other side. And kind of fill it in, put a V going down like that. Okay, I'm gonna give him, look back in the camera, I'm gonna give him some little lip wrinkles around his lips, so I'm gonna ask you to pucker your lips, closer in, yeah, like that. I'm just gonna go in and do some little, now, don't make these exactly the same. You want them to be varied. Some can be a little longer, some can be a little shorter, okay? In real life, there's never an equal line on your face, so they all have to be a little bit different. Okay, you can relax, all right? We're also gonna go in and do a little bit of highlight in between those lip lines to make those pop a little bit more too. All right, do a little bit on the chin. Just make this look a little sunken there. And again, we're gonna go back and blot a lot of this out so it won't look so graphic. All right, sides of the nose. Let's make his nose look a little bit like he's losing some fat in his face under his skin. You know how older people, they start to look a little gaunt. So that's kind of what we're going for. Okay, other side. So I'm going right down the bridge of the nose, and then I'm just kind of filling in the sides just to make it look a little bit skinnier. And I'm gonna go right up into the eye. So just stay right there. And I'm gonna go right up into the eye, and I'm gonna do a nice shadow on the eyelid. And the other side, turn toward the camera, please. Right up in here. A nice shadow there. All right. Now the next thing we're gonna do to the eye is we're gonna create a hood. And an eye hood is what makes your eye look baggy. When you get old, this part of your eye starts to get puffy and it starts to go down like that. So see, when we push the skin down like that, it creates this crease sideways, and it kind of hooks up on the side of the eye, all right? Close your eyes real tight. No, like this, like this. Yeah, so see how I did a diagonal line right there? And then I kind of fill all of this part in. And then when we do a highlight, we're gonna do a nice puffy highlight right there on the eyelid to make it look like it's hooded or kind of saggy or baggy. Okay, I'm gonna do the other eye. Turn toward me a little bit. Nice diagonal line, a little bit of a hook on the end, okay? Okay. What's next? Let's see, crow's feet. Let's give him a couple of crow's feet on the sides of his eyes. Now again, these need to be varied. They shouldn't be all the same size. So squint your eye up like this. There you go. So tighter. So as you can see, he already has some little natural wrinkles here when he squints his eye. So I'm just gonna follow, turn your head that way a little bit so they can see. I'm just gonna follow these natural lines that he has. All right, what we're gonna do with the highlight is we're gonna go in and highlight in between those lines where it's puffing out there. Okay, let me see the other side. You can make some up. If there's none down here, you can make one up. It's fine. Okay. All right, release. It's gonna look a little funny close up, but once we get the highlight in there, it'll look a little bit more like real wrinkles. All right, now we've got scowl lines. We call these the 11s or 111s. So, oh good, he already knows how to scowl. So you either have 2 lines here, sometimes people have one in the middle, you might have one here. Okay, release. All right, so the idea is to fill in those lines when you're scrunching up so that when you're not scrunching up, it looks like those lines are there naturally so that you look older, okay? And then we're gonna go in with some forehead wrinkles. Now, this is the one place that people make mistakes and they do these real weird squiggly lines on the forehead and it makes it look like, you know, hi, I'm playing a grandpa in a junior high play. We don't want that. So we want them to look a little bit more realistic. So again, some should be a little bit thinner, some should be thicker, they should be broken lines, they should be varied, okay? So I want you to look like you're real surprised like this, good. And I'm going to follow along the lines that he already has here. Turn toward me. But I'm breaking them up a little because I don't want them to all be exactly the same length. All right, now relax and look in the mirror. Look in the camera. Are you relaxed? Oh my, it's an optical illusion. Look at that. I thought you were still scrunched, but it wasn't. So that's the trick. The trick is to use the lines that are naturally there, and then when he relaxes, it still looks like they're there. Okay? All right, so that's it for shadowing. We're gonna move on to some highlights. All right. This is his highlight color. Okay? And when you have a little bit of a darker skin tone, the highlight is really going to pop. So if you have a lighter skin tone, your shadowing is gonna pop more. If you have a darker skin tone, your highlighting is gonna pop a little bit more. So, and then all shades in between, okay? So make sure that you are thinking about the ratio of contour to highlight based on your own skin tone, okay? All right. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and highlight everywhere that we contoured. So we started with where did we start? Nasolabial fold? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna go in and we're going to just highlight really lightly. Now I actually think that that's probably a little too bright. So what I'm gonna do is on the back of my hand, I'm just going to make a little palette here so that I can get some makeup on there. And then I can decide whether I'm gonna take a lot of makeup or if I'm gonna dab it out and I'm just gonna use a little tiny bit of the makeup. Use the back of your hand as a palette because I don't want the highlights to overpower the shadows. I'm going in with my sponge and not going to disrupt the shadowing that we already did. I'm just gonna go in and dab down the highlight so it's not overpowering the shadowing. So what that should show you is that now that I put a little bit of highlight right here on the upper lip area, it should really deepen that crease where I did the nasolabial fold. Now what I'm gonna do is up here on the cheek, where I want it to look like it's moving forward in space, I'm gonna do a little bit more highlight, not too much, because I don't want it to overpower. Okay. Go in and I'm going to dab it. So what we should be seeing here, just look that way a little tiny bit. What we should be seeing here is highlight, contour, and then highlight, okay? And when he stands up and stands back, it'll really be a lot more prominent. Let me do the other side. So now at this point, I'm just using what's on the back of my hand so I don't dip too much back into that pot of highlight. And now I'm going to dab Make sure to tell your actor what you're doing before you start dabbing their face or dabbing their eyes and things like that, just so they don't get shocked. Okay? Okay, dabbing again. All right, look at the camera. All right, so we should see a little highlight here, and then that nasolabial fold there. All right? And everything's starting to really come to life now that we are contrasting the highlight with the shadow. All right, so next let's do a little bit of highlight here just to contrast what we did under the cheekbone. Victor has really nice prominent cheekbones naturally, so I don't really need, because what's nice about natural cheekbones like that is that they're going to catch the light. You don't need a whole lot of artificial highlight. Okay, look back. You're not dabbing the highlight away. All you're doing is just kind of blending it with the foundation. Okay? So now this should really start to look sunken. This should start to look very prominent, moving towards you in space, and then this whole section should start to really recede and start to look like it's kind of sunken out. I think it looks pretty good so far. All right. Then let's move on to a little bit of highlight on the bridge of the nose. So can you look my way? Not too much. Just a little tiny bit of highlight right there. Just to give the contour a little contrast. All right, look in them. See how you can really see that's highlighted on the bridge of the nose and then it's sunken on the sides, so it's pulling back in space. All right, let's go into the chin. Just give a little highlight here and a little highlight here on the sides. Other side. You just want that to look a little puffy. Okay, and what I'm also going to do is in between the lip lines, I'm going to just give a little bit of highlight so that it makes those little lines that we put on there even more prominent. And these should be very subtle, not too big. All right, now we're going to do a nice big puffy highlight on the under eye bag. So look toward the camera and then look up. Right here, we're going to do a nice big puffy eye bag. And I'm not going to blend that out too much with my sponge because I want it to look really puffy. Look at the camera. You see now how that looks like that's puffy and that that's a big wrinkle underneath his eye? I think I'm going to leave that. Look toward me. Look up. And when you're working around the eyes, be gentle. All right, I am going to just dab that a little tiny bit just to blend it. Look up. Okay, good. So those should not start to look like nice big puffy bags under his eye now. All right, now we can highlight in between these little crow's feet. All right, I'm not going to dab these down too much, just a tiny bit, because you want to be able to see them from far away. Since they're such fine lines, you really don't need to dab them down too much. I'm going to put a little bit of highlight right here, just to make those scowl lines, sorry, look a little more puffy. And then I'm going to put a little highlight around, scrunch up your forehead again. There we go. Okay, see where the skin is bulging out here? Just gonna put a little highlight there. All right, so one of the last places that we're going to put a highlight is on the hood of the eye. Remember I said that I wanted his eye to make it look like it was sagging down like that? So we put that crease across his eyelid, and now close your eye. We're gonna put a nice big highlight right here on both sides. See the other side? Just right there on the brow bone. And what that's gonna do is hopefully make this look a little baggy. Okay, look in the camera. All right, so see how dramatic that looks like that's kind of bagging or creating a hood over his eye, and over there too. That's what the highlight does. You're looking old, dude. You are starting to look like your grandpa. Although I've never met your grandpa. Okay. All right, so a couple of last things. We're gonna put a little bit of highlight in the eyebrow, and we're gonna put a little bit of highlight on the lips just to make them look a little crackled. So you have this tool in your kit. You're gonna get a little bit of the highlight onto the end of your brush. And the trick to doing the eyebrows is you don't do too much, and you just go backwards and make them look a little bushy. All right, let's do the other side. Can we see that? You know, if you can't see it with the highlight color, you might want to get some of the white. All right, so we weren't really seeing the highlight color in his eyebrows too much. So what I did is I went and I got the white out of the kit, and now I'm gonna use just a little bit of that and see if we can see it better on the eyebrows. Oh yeah. We needed a higher contrast. Other side. All right, if you think you put a little bit too much, you can always dab it off with a tissue. All right, now what I want you to do is to take a little bit of the white with your finger, just a little, that's too much, dab it off. All right, and you're gonna pucker, really, really tight pucker, like this, okay? And then you're gonna dab that all around your lips, okay? We don't want it to look like you ate a powdered donut, so stop. Now release. Okay, so see how what that did is it just put some white in the cracks of his lips so that the lips kind of look old and crackled. All right, what else? I think that's about it. Oh, age spots. We could do a couple of age spots, and then we're gonna powder. So just to make it look like he's kind of aging. We don't want them to look like freckles, okay? Don't do them in the same spot. Maybe I'll do it a couple down here. Just to give the skin a little bit of a ruddy complexion. Just a couple of little spots, okay? See how it's adding a little bit of texture there, just to give it a little bit of an uneven texture. And then the last thing we're gonna do is powder. So we've got the powder puff. You're gonna sprinkle the powder, and you're gonna make a taco. Like this, other way. All right, get it all mixed in there really good. And what you're not gonna do is go bam, okay? Because that's gonna leave a whole bunch of powder in a place that you don't want it on your face. So what you're gonna do is you're going to very carefully just roll. And this doesn't disturb the makeup. All it does is set the makeup. Close your eyes. Be careful with the eyes. And it should take that shiny appearance. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Should take that shiny appearance down and just give you a nice matte finish. Okay, I'm gonna do your lips. When your actor's closing their eyes and they don't know where you're coming in on their face, it's just nice to warn them so that they're not shocked. Okay, I'm just gonna go right in the corner of your eye. Okay. You can powder at intermission. You can powder when you're off stage, okay? It sets the makeup and it gets rid of any sweat that you've sweated during the performance. All right, take a look, Victor, and look at your grandpa. You feel old?
Ready for my nap.
Okay, let's give you a little bit of some props and costume pieces and see if we can complete the look. Okay, so we added a wig, a fedora, and a little scarf, and there he is. There's Victor at about, I don't know, I'd say maybe between 65 and 75 years old. How do you feel, Victor? Hopefully this has helped you with some old age makeup for the stage. Please comment below or subscribe to my channel. Thank you.